doesn't support this. At least for now, you can't make it wider. It's a short answer.
Okay, so a short answer. This is a graphical user in textbooks, right? Yes. So the developer that's behind can make it bigger, right?
There's no developer yet. The developer behind is Oracle.
Okay.
You have to write to Larry. Maybe you'll try to do it in the next version.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for the question. So move on to transfer. We mentioned this earlier on. Let's just quickly take a look at the screen. For transfer, there are certain considerations as well. Right now. So here you have a case where you're punching somebody's NRIC, and the system says this person exists in another location. In this case, Pioneer Secondary School. Right? In this case, so you do a transfer, and again there are some consequences. Not perhaps the ideal one, but something you want to consider. Weigh them often. Start. The user has an existing account in another school, another location. Will the user still need the record in the previous location? That's the question to ask. Is the person going to return to that school and then carry on whatever duties? I'm glad to be aware that there are cases where, let's say Mr. Tan is a staff of a certain school, and he's on some long leave, and Mr. Tan goes to another school, maybe to help out for whatever reason, and then in that case, don't forget Mr. Tan is going to go back to the original school. You cannot do a transfer, no? If you do a transfer, then all the resources assigned to Mr. Tan in the other school, original school, will all be lost, right? So then you end up having to reapply everything again, and it's quite messy. In that case, what do you do? When that happens, if he needs those information, the record in the previous school to be maintained, to be retained, you simply create a new account for this person. But you cannot use the IC number anymore, isn't it? Because IC number is used, so you must have another alternate ID. Then this is the only case you want to use an alternate ID. But in all other cases, if you can, stick to the NIC number. So you don't have to worry too much. Okay? Right, so any consequences to share will be things like if you really create an alternate ID. Let's say for me, no, I'm never affiliated. But let's say again, Mr. Tan's example. He joins your school for a short while. He's going to return back to ABC Primary School now. You cannot transfer. He joins your school for a short while. So you create for him an alternate ID. What's the consequence? When he leaves, he must remember to take away the account. No? That's the consequence. Some accounts management things you got to be worried about. No? When the person leaves, remember to terminate the account. Otherwise, then the resources is alive and kicking. And if the password is abused, then of course the resources assigned will all be accessible. That kind of consideration, not too bad. But still, you want to be very mindful. So think through first before you start creating point account. Okay? Yeah? Then we move on. Reactivate. The last one. You cannot get any more complicated. This is the last one. The rest, smooth sailing. Guarantee you. This one, reactivate. So again, Mr. Tan joins your account to your school, and then you use your IMS and realize that he's resigned, he's coming back. So what do you do? In this case, very careful. This happens only for terminated accounts when the official last day of service has not exceeded 6 months. First thing first. If exceeded 6 months, when you key in his IC, it's considered a fresh record. Brand new. Right? When I join you, brand new one. Can never find my account. You okay? Right? So that's what happens. So go ahead. In this case, if you need to, you use the reactivate account. Right? I must apologize. I missed something in this earlier slide. Now, here again. When you have decided that, you want to create an ID, alternate ID for him, when you have decided, where do you go? You're not going to use the transfer button. You use the new button. Of course, you punch in the ID first, the alternate ID. Punch in the alternate ID first, you use the new button. And then the new button will bring you to this huge screen. New one. Like when I join you. You punch in all my particulars, pick the resources you want me to have and stuff like that. Okay? Fair enough? Right? So that's for the transfer. For the reactivate, typically once you decided that the account needs to be reactivated, go ahead and put click on reactivate, and then Mr. Tan will have his account reactivated, right? And then you can start logging on to make use of the services. Okay, right. That's all there is for 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. Create, transfer, reactivate. The 3 scenarios. Any questions on that? Otherwise, we have to move on because of the essence of time. Now, I've got a certain timetable to work with. So, if there is no question, we will proceed to 2.4, 2.4, which is on activate. Very careful. It's activate, not reactivate. Reactivate is reserved for staff who has left, they come back within 6 months. We call that reactivate. Activate, when do we activate? Is under these circumstances, an account is not used for more than 90 days. This type of account becomes inactive. You must activate it. Right? You must activate it. Automatically it becomes inactive. Or if the account holder goes on no pay leave or long leave exceeding 90 days, right? Automatically this account gets to be inactive. I better repeat. Are you with me? Very careful. If an account is not in use for more than 90 days, somehow Mr. Tan didn't log into his network whatsoever, not in use. More than 90 days, automatically it gets inactivated. And then as the local administrator, you need to intervene. You need to activate Mr. Tan's account. Right? And that's what we do. Take a look at the long leave one more time. Long leave. If you go on long leave, meaning those type of leave that goes beyond 90 days, 10 days, 20 days not counted. Must be beyond 90 days. Then on the first day, the moment you are on your no pay leave, the super long leave, on day 1, your account gets to be inactive. The status becomes inactive. Then there's nothing to do. As local administrators, you just simply wait for the time to lapse. When the person comes back, then everything is well and good. You only need to activate Mr. Tan's account if he returns earlier. Because his leave is, let's say, 100 days. He comes back on day number 80. And he wants to use the account, then you got to activate for him. Got to activate. Understand? But if he sticks to the 100 days leave, he goes for day 1, day 2, day 3, day 101, he comes back. Do you need to activate? No need. The system automatically enables the account. Get me? So you only intervene if he comes back early. He may not come back physically early, but he may say, I want to use your resources. He may not be in the school, but from home he may want to log in and stuff like that. Right? So you want to activate that. Right? So when you're doing that, the other thing to note is any accounts that's inactive shall be deleted after 6 months. Right? So if an account is not in use for more than 6 months, those will be automatically purged, and that kind cannot be activated already. Right? Those kind will not be activated. And to activate, you must have the account ID of Mr. Tan and the reason for doing so. And this is what you do. Right? You go to the main screen after you log on as the local administrator. You click on the link that says User Account Activation. Right? User Account Activation. The third link. Once you click on the third link, you get a chance to punch in Mr. Tan's IC number, account ID, right? Or user ID. Punch it in here, and then click on Find. And then what happens is that the details of Mr. Tan will appear on the screen, and that's where we can put in a reason for the activation. Right? You put down, or he returns from his long leave earlier than expected. If he returns up during that, if he really maximizes his stay with the 100 days and it's fine, but he comes back early, punch it. Right? The reason. Once you punch in the reason, you click on Submit, and blue means you're alright. Right? So basically, Mr. Tan can now use the account. That's what it does. Activate. Okay? Moving on, we have 2.5, which is talking about terminate when someone leaves your school. Now, if that someone is an MOE PM2S